Hello and welcome to Onward Christian Radio Talk, the program that brings you closer to men and women of God who are making an impact in today's society. I'm your host, Eden Chindiko, and today I'm joined by one particular young man who I feel has made a huge impact, especially among young people. His name is Prophet Isaiah Sovi. A very good day to you.
Thank you.
Welcome to the program.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Let's begin by getting to know who Prophet Isaiah Sovi is. Tell us a bit about yourself.
Okay, well, Prophet Isaiah was born in Kitwe, Zambia, and from there I, started doing ministry at a young age, just after I completed high school, and I've been at it since.
Really? Mm-hmm. Let's get to know when God started speaking to you.
Okay.
In previous conversations, you had mentioned that, God started speaking to you at a very, very young age. Mm-hmm. How did you identify that this is the voice of God? And when was that?
Well, I was always intrigued by, spiritual things. I think the books that I used to have, when other people were reading Peter Pan and all those things, I was so interested in Bible stories. Mm-hmm. And, I was watching those, Christian television. And I remember one time I was watching a certain program, and I decided from that time that I would, be a preacher. But when I was about 6 to 7 years, I had an encounter with the Lord. At that time, I didn't really understand what was going on, but later on, I came to, to know that it was actually the Lord speaking to me. He appeared to me and he told me so many things that I recall even up to now. So it's something that really started way back. Yes.
What a journey. Mm-hmm. How has that journey been for you?
It's been exciting. I've been to a few places, met people, and it's just amazing going to new places and preaching Jesus, just telling them how wonderful Jesus is. And it's been an exciting experience. I'm learning every day. But so far, so good. What
would you tell that young man who's out there, mm-hmm. who's seen you, mm-hmm. and who wants to emulate this Jesus lifestyle?
Mm-hmm. Well, it's something worth doing. Paul says, "Follow me as I follow Christ." So we are to follow those who are following Christ. Mm-hmm. It's our duty to do so. Mm-hmm. So, I would encourage somebody to do this. We may not do it in the same way, mm-hmm. That I do it, but Jesus is a lifestyle, It's not like a ritual or religious, rite that you have to perform. Mm-hmm. Following Jesus is something that is supposed to be part of your life, something that you're supposed to enjoy. Mm-hmm. I'm enjoying what I'm doing, so I would like someone to, enjoy their life in Christ.
And you said you follow. You mentioned a verse that Paul said follow, mm-hmm. As he follows Christ. Mm-hmm. Is there anybody that you follow?
Yes, well, of course, I have a spiritual father. Mm-hmm. His name is Prophet Angel. Mm-hmm. He's my mentor. He's my spiritual father. So I follow him as he follows Christ.
Right. I've seen on your social media, you call yourself Prophet Angel's last born. Tell me about that. What is that all about?
Well, it's something that I just, among all the sons and daughters of Prophet Angel, I just considered myself the least, and there comes last born.
But of course, last borns comes with treats.
Yes, of course.
Tell me what are the little perks that your dad?
No, that's my secret. That's my secret.
Unless someone else wants to come in and call themselves the last born.
No, the last is really last. I'm the last one, so really? I'm enjoying my position.
You are very, very active on social media, on all platforms.
Yes.
Is it something that you decided that, you know what, let me do this, or is it because of your age or the audience that you're trying to reach? What inspired you maybe to just go on that platform?
Well, 2012 is when it started. I never really liked social media. You can ask the people that were following me from way back. I only put my picture, I think, about a year ago, and from all this time I was hiding behind a name. And it is only after a specific time that it really came out in the open, after I had gained the confidence to, appear on social media. So it wasn't easy. It wasn't really easy for me. But really, it's the only thing that I had. I had no platform. I had no church. I had no invitation from anywhere. But what I had was social media. Yes.
And let's talk about the prophetic. It's an era that has come that is so wide right now. I think from about 5 years ago, maybe it's grown to great lengths. Why this era, and why are you a prophet?
Well, the Bible says in Joel, God was speaking concerning these times. He said, in the last days I will pour out my spirit upon all flesh, and your sons and daughters shall prophesy. You know, so if you see what is happening now, it is really a sign of the end times. It is something that is God ordained. It is something that, you know, that God preordained to show as a sign to fulfill the prophetic word that was given. You know, so we are caught up in this because it really is the season for it. If you see, I think 10 years ago, what was there was the evangelism. You know, before that we had pastors, okay? But it is so in this time to show as a sign. If a young man like me can stand and prophesy, you know, I was ministering 4 or 5 years ago. You can see how young I look, right? Okay, now just think about...
Can you tell us your age?
No way. I'm not going to tell you.
Okay, a general, you know, time frame.
Time frame?
Are you in your 20s?
20s, yes, obviously.
Okay.
20s.
Okay.
So, well, if you see what is happening in this time, it's a sign. If a young man like me can stand and say to you to change your ways, or speak to somebody who is older and tell them what they need to do, it's a sign that there is something unusual about this. There's something that is a bit out of the ordinary. So if you look at me, like I said, I would tell you 5 years ago I was preaching, 15 years ago I was preaching. I think before the interview I showed you a picture of me when I was preaching about 15 years ago. You can look at me and do 15 years minus, okay? That sort of gives you...
Well, if you're in your 20s, well, that will make you, what, 5?
Somewhere there, all right?
Okay.
So it shows you, it kind of shows you what God is doing in the season, okay? So really this time and this era is there to validate the word that God spoke when he said, I shall pour out my spirit upon all flesh, and your sons and daughters shall prophesy. It stands as a testimony for unbelievers on the last day.
All right. What distinguishes you now? You know, there are so many of you. What distinguishes you from the prophet next door or the prophet in the next country? What makes you different?
Purpose. I can say purpose. You know, there are a lot of people trying to do what other people are trying to do, but I'm just Isaiah. I do my own thing, okay? I do what God told me to do. And I think that is where we are missing it, especially people who are my age. You know, they are trying to do what the big men are doing. It's okay to want to be like the big men, it's okay. But to want to do exactly as they are doing, you know, in that capacity, you won't sustain it, you know. So for me, I just do what I do. I do what I do. I preach the gospel wherever I go, and I know what I was called to do, and I stick to it.
We know a lot of people get very excited about the prophetic. Everybody comes to church wanting to hear a word from God, a prophetic word. Does this not take away from the very basic of getting people to know the word? How do you balance that, the prophetic as well as just delivering the word?
Revelation 19 verse 10 says, the testimony of Jesus is the spirit of prophecy. Okay, so really you can't separate the word from prophecy. The very life of prophecy, when you look at the word spirit there, it is literally talking about life. The testimony of Jesus is the life of prophecy. So prophecy without the word is really dead. Okay, so you know, I know people love to know what God is saying, what God is speaking about their lives, but it's also important You know, it's important to realize that the word is as important, you know, as prophecy is. But the word gives life. It highlights the importance of the prophetic. Yes.
All right. Does this not put pressure on you as a prophet? You know, you come into a ministry, you come into church. Today you prophesy to 10 people. Does this not put pressure on you to want to do more? Maybe to go beyond yourself, to, you know, to outperform your last performance?
Well, I think there are virtues that you need to have. Patience, humility, those are virtues. And if you have those, I think even a bit of maturity, because when you know why you do something, you don't need to prove to anybody. You don't need to do more than what you did before. You see, so for me, it's something I understand. If I have no word for you, I'm not going to tell you anything, because God hasn't spoken to me. So really, I think it's really about patience, maturity, and, you know, humility, because the humility aspect of it comes in where you know it's not you. You know, you have 100% dependence on God. You know it's got nothing to do with you. So you won't put pressure on yourself for something that you are not responsible for. Okay, so this is why I said the word must be in a church apart from just prophecy, because the word is the life of prophecy. It highlights the importance of prophecy. Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit about your ministry, the numbers? How many are we looking at? So far, you've only been in ministry for 5 years. Where do you operate from, and maybe the numbers?
Generally, I have a following of thousands across the world, Africa, across the world. And we just recently started ministry in Rivonia, Sandton, South Africa. I was based in Zambia, but we moved to Rivonia, Sandton. You know, God instructed me to move to South Africa. And from there, we have started, I think we're about 3 weeks to 4 weeks old. Yeah, we've just started, you know, growing, and we are seeing, you know, the numbers coming in, you know, people getting to know where we are. Yes.
What is your hook? I'm led to believe that because people want prophecy, they're bound to come in droves. But the ones that actually belong to you may not be as many as the ones that you see physically, or the ones that, you know, that show up. What is your hook? What draws people to you?
Well, I think for me, the Great Commission itself is the most important thing, telling people about Jesus. There is no greater hook or greater bait than the word, okay? And it's something that if you come to our ministry, our church, it's word-based. You know, I teach more than I prophesy. You know, prophecy is there just to, you know, to encourage everybody. But I spend more time on the word, and that is why people come.
All right. You're a very busy man. You're globetrotting, traveling all over the world. I recently read that you were in Malaysia. Maybe I actually watched a small video of you in Malaysia. What do you do in your downtime? Do you ever get downtime?
Downtime? What do you mean?
Like, what do you do for fun?
Oh, for fun.
Yeah.
Well, I love traveling. So when I'm traveling to do ministry, it's kind of like downtime, you know. But I love traveling. I love shopping. I love
clothes. I see.
Clothes. Yes, I love clothes. You know, I love playing video games. That's something I do. You know, when I'm just, you know, home and relaxed. Yeah. So to answer your question, I do have a life.
Okay. That's actually the question I had. Okay. No, that's a healthy balance.
Yes.
All right. Maybe lastly, let's get to hear where people can follow you on social media. You're very active.
Yes.
Your Twitter handle, your Facebook. How can people get in touch with you?
Isaiah Brian Sovi is the well, I'm using that on Facebook and Twitter. I think next year we're going to have YouTube on, so you can just search. Those who are trying to find, you can go to Isaiah Brian Sovi, And when you type that on Facebook, I think you're going to see my page and profile. Same thing on Twitter. You can go to @IsaiahSovi, and you will find. Follow. Click like and follow. Yes.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for taking the time to sit down with us.
Thank you so much.
And that's all we had for you in this segment of Onward Christian Radio Talk. We're speaking to Prophet Isaiah Sovi, who took the time to be with us on this program, sharing some of the insights of the work that he's been doing, and of course where he envisions God taking him in the future. Thank you very much. I'm Ellen Chindigo, your host. We're back again next time. Do stay tuned to Onward Christian Radio Talk.